Chapter 4 of Jewish Children by Sholem Aleichem. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Jewish Children, Yudishe Kinder by Sholem Aleichem, translated by Hannah Berman, and read by Adrian Pretzelis. Chapter 4. Getzel. Sit down and I will tell you a story about nuts. About nuts? About nuts? About nuts. Now, wartime? Just because it's wartime. Because your heart is heavy, I want to distract your thoughts from the war. In any case, when you crack a nut, you find a kernel. His name was Getzel, but they called him Getzel. Whoever had God in his heart made fun of Getzel, ridiculed him. He was considered a bit of a fool. Amongst us schoolboys he was looked upon as a young man. He was a clumsily built fellow, had extremely coarse hands and thick lips. He had a voice that seemed to come from an empty barrel. He wore wide trousers and big top boots, like a bear. His head was as big as a kneading trough. This head of his, Reb Yankov used to say, was stuffed with hay or feathers. The Rebbe frequently reminded Getzel of his great size and awkwardness. Getzel, coarse being, bullock's skin, and other such nicknames were bestowed on him by the teacher, and he never seemed to care a rap about them. He hid in a corner, puffed out his cheeks, and bleated like a calf. You must know that Getzel was fond of eating. Food was dearer to him than anything else. He was a mere stomach. The master called him a glutton, but Getzel didn't care about that either. The minute he saw food, he thrust it into his mouth and chewed vigorously. He had sent to him, to the Cheder, the best of everything. This great clumsy fool was, along with everything else, his wealthy mother's darling, her only child, and she took the greatest care of him. Day and night she stuffed him like a goose, and was always wailing that her child ate nothing. He ought to have the evil eye averted from him, our teacher used to say behind Getzel's back, of course. To the devil with his mother, the teacher's wife used to add in such a voice, and making such a grimace over her words, that it was impossible to keep from laughing. In Polosha they keep such children in swaddling clothes. May he suffer instead of my old bones. May I live longer than his head, the teacher put in after her, and pulled Getzel's cap down over his ears. The whole Cheder laughed. Getzel sat silent. He was sulky, but kept silent. It was hard to get him into a temper, but when he did get into a temper, he was terrible. Even an angry bear could not be fiercer than he. He used to dance with passion, to bite his own big hands with his strong white teeth. If he gave one a blow, one felt it, one enjoyed it. This the boys knew very well. They had tasted his blows, and they were terribly afraid of him. They did not want to have anything to do with him. You know that Jewish children have a lot of respect for beatings, and in order to protect themselves against Getzel, all the 10 boys had kept united, 10 against 1, and that was how it came about that there were 2 parties at Reb Yankov's Cheder. On the one side all the pupils, on the other side Getzel. The boys kept their wits about them, Getzel his fists. The boys worked at their lessons, Getzel ate continually. It came to pass that on a holiday the boys got together to play nuts. Playing nuts is a game like any other, neither better than tops nor worse than cards. The game is played in various ways. There are holes and bank and caps, but every game finishes up in the same way. One boy loses, another wins. And, as always, he who wins is a clever fellow, a smart fellow, a good fellow,
and he who loses is a good-for-nothing, a fool and a ne'er-do-well, just as it happens in the big cities, at the clubs, where people sit playing cards night and day. The 10 boys got together in the cheder to play nuts. They turned over a bench, placed a row of nuts on the floor, and began rolling other nuts downwards. Whoever knocked the most nuts out of the row won the whole lot. Suddenly the door opened, and Getzel came in, his pockets loaded with nuts as usual. "Welcome art thou, a Jew," cried one of the boys. "If you speak of the Messiah," put in a second. "Vive Haman," cried a third. "And Rashi says the devil brought him here," cried a fourth. "What are you playing? Bank? Then I'll play too," said Getzel, to which he got an immediate reply. "No, with a little cap." "Why not?" "Just for that." "Then I won't let you play." He didn't hesitate a moment, but scattered the nuts about the floor with his bare paws. The boys got angry. The cheek of the rascal! "Boys, why don't you do something?" asked one. "What shall we do?" asked the second. "Let's break his bones for him," suggested a third. "All right, try it on," cried Getzel. He turned up his sleeves ready for work, and there took place a battle, a fight between the two parties. On the one side was the whole cheder, on the other Getzel. 10 is not 1. It was true they felt what Getzel's fists tasted like. Bruises and marks around the eyes were the portion of the 10, but for that again they gave him a good taste of the world with their sharp nails and their teeth and every other thing they could. From the front and from the back and from all sides he got blows and kicks and pulls and thumps and bites and scratches. Well, 10 is not 1. They overcame him. Getzel had to get himself off, disappear. And now begins the real story of the nuts. After he left the cheder, bruised and scratched and torn and bleeding, Getzel stood thinking for a while. He clapped his hands on his pockets, and there was heard the rattling of nuts. "You don't want to play nuts with me? Then may the angel of death play with you. I want you for 10,000 sacrifices. I can manage. We two will play ourselves." That is what Getzel said to himself. The next minute he was off like the wind. He stopped in the middle of the road to say aloud, as if there were someone with him, "Where to? Where, for instance, shall we go, Getzel?" And at once he answered himself. "There, far outside the town, on the other side of the mill. There we shall be alone, the two of us. No one will disturb us. Let anyone attempt to disturb us, and we will break bones and make an end." Talking with himself, Getzel felt that he was not alone. He was not 1, but 2, and he felt as strong as 2. Let the boys dare to come near him, and he would break them to atoms. He would reduce them to a dust heap. He enjoyed listening to his own words, and did not stop talking to himself, as if he really had someone beside him. "Listen to me. How far are we going to go?" he asked himself, and then he answered himself almost in a strange voice. "Well, it all depends on you." "Perhaps we ought to sit down here and play nuts. Well, what do you say, Getzel?" "It's all the same to me." Getzel sat down on the ground, far beyond the town, behind the mill, took out the nuts, counted them, divided them in 2 equal parts, put one lot in his right-hand pocket and the other in his left. He took off his cap and threw into it a few nuts from his right-hand pocket. He said to himself, "They imagine I can't get on without them. Listen, Getzel, what game are we playing?" "I don't know. Whatever game you like." "Then let us play odd or even." "I'm quite willing." He shook his cap. "Now guess, odd or even." "Well, speak out," he said to himself. He dug his elbow into his own ribs and said to himself, "Even." "Even, did you say? Who'll thrash you? You have lost. Hand over 3 nuts."